Hey everybody! So it's that time again for the world famous Sea Dog teams that Georgia Tech needs to beat ranked video. Every year I do this video in the off season and the weeks leading up to the season. I go through our schedule, look at the teams, and I rank them based on the order of importance for us to win those games. I also do a very similar video where I do the teams, I rank them in order of how much I want to beat them, just personally, in my opinion. So this video is a little more objective, whereas the other video is subjective and more opinion-based. This video is kind of a look at, the strength of the teams, the things I take into accountability. Basically, our must-win games would be number one. And, number 12 would be least important games. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, in this video, I actually start at number one and go down. So, number one this year, most important in my opinion. A lot of the time, usually I just put whatever FCS team that we are playing that year, because obviously it's super important to freaking beat the FCS teams. If you can't beat the FCS teams, you're a complete failure. So this year is a special exception. I am actually putting Georgia State as the number one team that we need to beat the most. I've talked about this a little bit before, on past streams and stuff. It's freaking critical that we beat them, and if you think about it. A lot of Georgia Tech fans don't really have a problem with them. Even might pull for them or whatever, another team in Atlanta, whatever, they're just another, they're a lower classification school out of the way. No, man. We have to freaking put it on them. We have to make a statement here that we are the team in Atlanta, period. They started their freaking football program in 2010, okay? They're brand new. It would be the most humiliating thing I could think of to freaking lose to Georgia State. It would be really, really bad. It would be completely unacceptable, and I can't overstate how bad it would be for Tech. Can you just imagine the jokes, losing to a lower classification in school? They've been playing football for 10 years, and to freaking lose to them, it would just be a complete nightmare. It would be a total nightmare. We need to, obviously, we a lot of the time we're recruiting the same players as them. It's just every facet of every way, which way you can freaking think of it. This game is an absolute must-win. It's non-negotiable, okay? Especially because they have Zach Gibson, our former quarterback, at the helm, and he's not very good. So, we're gonna need to take them down big time. Moving on to obviously the FCS team, VMI, pretty self-explanatory. If you can't beat friggin' FCS team, then if I'm being, if it was some other group of 5 team, I would put VMI at number one. But since it's Georgia State and being in the whole, city of Atlanta thing, I put them over just for that reason. But, I got VMI second. Obviously, you have to be a freaking FCS team or else you're in trouble. Number 3, this one could be argued, okay. I freaking brought emotion into it, but I don't know. Sue me. I put North Carolina for a few reasons. Usually, a lot of times what this list winds up being is teams power ranked. So, you start with the worst teams at number 1, work your way up to your hardest games down there at number 12. Because obviously, if you're talking about games we need to win, well, nobody's looking at us like, oh, God, we're freaking, we're in trouble if we don't beat Notre Dame. You know what I mean? So, but nobody's looking at us and saying, nobody's saying that. What they are saying is we're in trouble if we can't beat VMI and Georgia State. So, North Carolina might be kind of an upper echelon team, what people might think. I happen to think they're going to suck this year. And obviously the elephant in the room here is that Jeff Collins our former head coach that we fired happens to be their defensive coordinator now. And so, yes, that did factor me into putting them here. You could argue that, a couple of the next games I'm going to have would be more important for us to win because North Carolina could be highly ranked at the time, and nobody would think twice about us losing to them. But as far as importance and, needing things, I'd say mental health is important, right? Mental health is important. So, right? So, mentally, for the Tech fan base, it's in our best interest to freaking win this game because I can't imagine, having Jeff Collins come here and ruin our program for years and then we freaking lose to him, especially against North Carolina, who we own and dominate over the past, 4 years. So, yes, we freaking need to beat North Carolina. I don't care that it's on the road. I happen to think they're going to suck this year without Drake May, and Mac Brown's past his prime, and Jeff Collins is a hack of a coach. I happen to think that they're going to suck. They're probably going to be about 6-6. That's kind of where I think that they're going to be. But a lot of people probably aren't thinking that. They probably have them ranked as a team in the teens or something nationally. I don't think so. I think they're going to be bad, and we need to beat them. End of story. Next, I have Duke, and you could argue that 4 and 5 could be swapped. We'll get to number 5 in a second, because Duke is a lot of things I can say about these two teams are the same. So Duke has a brand new head coach. They're not traditionally a very good school at football. And, it's just we're further along in our development than they should be. They've got Manny Diaz. I think that was a pretty good hire for them. And I think he'll be all right in the long run. But, year one, we're playing them in the first half of the year, too, kind of before they have their feet under them, or what should. We should be able to handle these guys. And I rank them here a little bit above the next team because we get them at home. For that pretty much reason only. So I got Duke there. Next is Syracuse. A lot of things you can say about Duke, you can say about Syracuse. New head coach, first playing them in the first half of the year, and they're going to be. We should just be further along than they are, right? The only thing about Syracuse, the only deciding factor here is that we're playing Syracuse at Syracuse, so that's kind of why I ranked them one lower. All right, number 6. Now we're getting into the good stuff. The rest of, the first 5 games there were kind of piddly crap. I mean, you could freaking argue about UNC, but I think they'll be bad. A lot of people probably don't, but, I mean, you could look at that list and say that's some pretty bad teams. So here we're getting into some good teams, so this is where it gets interesting. Number 6, I have, and this might be controversial, I don't know, Florida State. Yes, Florida State, our opener. And, I mean, at first you're like, what? Florida State's so good. Obviously, we don't need to beat them. Is people going to think the sky's falling at Tech if we don't beat them? No. I looked at it from we have a lot to gain from winning this game. So, look no further than what Brent Key said himself in a recent interview on 680 The Fan. He said that, yes, this is an important game. Why? Well, we've gone, several months, 9 months or something without football, right? It's week 0, baby. This week, this Saturday. First freaking game on at noon. And it's going to be the Yellow Jackets versus Florida State. Every college football fan in America is going to be watching that game. It's a national attention type of game. Florida State is a team that last year that got a lot of national attention because of their playoff situation and them wanting to leave the ACC. This is a huge opportunity for Georgia Tech to get a lot of attention, really. And Brent Key said it too, which I was surprised he said, but yeah, he freaking said, yeah, this is an important game, a lot of eyes on us, and a chance to really make an impression on everybody. If we manage to beat them, then that's going to be something that people talk about big time. Everybody will see it, and it'll look really good if we can, it'll be a really good step in our progress. And it's possible, too. We freaking can do it. We'll have to play our brains out, but, dude, this would be absolutely huge for us to win this game. So, for that reason, I have them at number 6. Number 7, another game that you could look at and say, like, yeah, we got our freaking reputation, a little bit of rep gain from this game is Virginia Tech. Okay? Virginia Tech, we could gain a lot of freaking respect for beating them. Now, I will say it is later in the season, so they could suck by now. But at this moment in the offseason, before anything started, everybody's high on Virginia Tech. They're the darlings of the offseason, right? Everybody thinks that they're going to be good, talking about them as potential dark horse, talking about them as, ACC contenders. Everybody thinks that they're going to be, special. So if we were to beat them, especially if they were to kind of live up to that, if they were at, when we meet them in late October, if they were at 6 or 7 wins or something, to go up into their stadium and beat them would be huge for us. It'd be great. So get a lot of respect for freaking winning that game. That would be awesome. And, I have made this kind of clear. I don't freaking like that Virginia Tech gets a lot of, attention and freaking love in the offseason. They haven't done a single thing that Georgia Tech hasn't done, okay? They freaking have a coach that's in his, second or third year or whatever. They went 6-6 last year, but looked promising, won their bowl game. They even lost to a group of 5 team like we did. Like, we had the same season as them, but for some reason everyone's latched onto them and doesn't care about us. So this would be our chance to freaking say, oh, you want to pay them all the attention? Well, how about we go up in their freaking building and beat them? That's what I'm talking about. So there's that. Next is number 8, Louisville. Louisville is, you're getting into these games here where it's kind of a big coin flip. So Louisville is kind of a middle-of-the-road team as far as importance to win. And, I mean, it'd be nice to freaking avenge our win from last year. I think they'll probably be a worse team than last year. They lost a lot off of their roster. I think that it would be good to beat them, but, it's kind of lower on the list just because it's one of those coin flip games, not the end of the world. We're probably going to be about the same caliber of team as Louisville this year. But it could be argued that they could swap places with my next team I have here, number 9, NC State. And I happen to think that these teams will probably be both okay, this year. I'm not quite sure. These teams are hard to rank because of how I'm just not sure how good they'll be. I'm pretty sure NC State's probably going to be mediocre, and we do get them at home. So you could make an argument that they swap with Louisville, but yeah, it is what it is. We got to beat one of those teams. I'd say they're probably equally important. If we go 1-1 and this, against Louisville and NC State, we'll be doing okay. So that brings me to number 10. Much I hate to freaking say it, Miami. Okay, they're going to be probably pretty good this year. This makes me really sick to say. I think they're probably going to be pretty good. Yes, we get them at home, sandwiched between 2 bye weeks, so we should be able to leave it all on the field with them. But, if they're as good as everybody thinks they're going to be, then nobody's going to think twice about freaking us losing to them, right? So, I mean, they might be a little ahead of where we are going to be at this point in the year, at this point in their, progression as a team, as a program. So I kind of rank them low. I might be, buying into Miami being freaking good this year, which I usually don't, okay? I usually don't. And I'm not saying they're going to win the ACC or anything. I think they'll probably be like a 9-win team. 8 or 9 wins is where I think Miami's going to be. But, it's not the end of the world if we don't beat them, especially after last year embarrassing them like the way we did. So I got them at number 10. Number 11, none other than the freaking Bulldogs. The Bulldogs will always be a little bit important. I mean, okay, the reality is here that, they're going through literally the best time in their entire program history. We're going through the worst. And it happened at the same time, unfortunately. So, obviously, you're talking about teams we need to beat. Nobody's going to think twice if we lose to Georgia. I'm talking about perception here. Obviously, every Tech fan is going to want to beat them more than anything, right? So, yes, I am freaking I realize that it's probably not the end of the world if we don't beat them, but it will always have, at least some significance. They're our main rival and state and everything. So yes, it has some significance above the number 12 team. I don't think I would ever put them last. There's always significance to this game, right? It doesn't matter how good either team is. So that's what I got to say about that. In the coming years, it's going to become, they're going to rise up this list. And the teams I want to beat list, they're always number one. But teams we need to beat right now, they're down there just because of the way it is right now. Moving on to number 12, Notre Dame. Notre Dame clearly is, been a much higher level of play than us for a long time. And we don't even play them at home. Like, we play them in the bins. I kind of chalk this one up to a loss. We never freaking beat Notre Dame. Nobody's going to expect us to. They should beat us. They should be a better team. They should have more talent, yada, 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 all that. Nobody's going to freaking probably watch this game. And, I mean, of course, it would be amazing if we won. And, obviously we love to win all these games. But as far as Notre Dame, I just kind of ranked them low just because, it just doesn't seem all that. Nobody's really talking about it, and nobody's going to think twice if we lose. So that's why I got them at the bottom. So anyway, that's my list of teams we need to beat the most. I ranked them basically of importance here for us to win. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, you guys. Go Jackets, and I will see y'all later.